where I grew up? Wow, all over the North Bay. I was born in San Rafael. First place I remember living in is Marin City, and then Larkspur, which are both down near San Francisco, and then Kelseyville, and then Cloverdale. And then when we moved to Rohnert Park in '59, I had to go to school in Petaluma because Rohnert Park was just a little subdivision. And then when I was 17, we moved to San Francisco, and I finished my last year of high school there at George Washington High. And that's where I was when President Kennedy was killed. Remember that day real well. But some interesting places and interesting times, and I had grandparents in Kelseyville, and I had grandparents in Sausalito, and so I got a lot of culture. Everything from seeing the old beatniks in Sausalito to riding horses up in Lake County. So it was a pretty good childhood, really. I shake. I've got to tell you that right now. I have an epilepsy problem.
So
I can't help that. Well, I went in November of '65. I was early in the Vietnam War, and I was basically went in to get it over with. I flunked out of college, and when you flunked out of college in those days, you went right to the top of the list. And they sent me a draft notice, and I went in and signed up to get a school of my choice. And so basic training, one of the worst things I ever went through. It wasn't fun at all. Physically, I was up to it. I was in great shape, but all the harassment I really hated. And later on, when I was in charge, I remembered that. Because that's not the way to treat people. But I ended up finishing basic and then finishing truck driver school, and then I was assigned to the 43rd Engineer Dump Truck Company at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And we spent about 3.5 months getting ready to go to Vietnam, getting our trucks tightened up and get used to driving them and get some lessons on Vietnam. And then we got on a ship in Oakland and went over there. And I was about a month short when one of my grandmothers died, so they sent me home right away. And it was another, that's a whole world of experiences right there. We went over on a ship. We went through a typhoon, and that was interesting. That ship was bouncing around like a cork, But I felt very safe because the ship was made out of metal, and real strong. And I understood the Cold War enough to know that the Soviets weren't going to hit the ship. So, I had no worry about that. Yeah. So we proceeded to build a base camp called Long Binh just north of Saigon, haul dirt in out of the hills and put it down where they could build roads and housing pads, and did a few other things over there. Boy, that's a tough call, I did learn a lot. I learned that I could do way more than I thought I could. And I think that's true with most people. You have more ability than you realize. And I had some leadership opportunities, and I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed being an instructor. We were training wiremen and radiomen how to drive the Jeep without turning it over. And those Jeeps then were very vulnerable to being turned over, especially in two-wheel drive. The way they were designed is the reason. And that was just a lot of fun, Who doesn't want to go out and ride in the hills in a Jeep, And so it was a great job. I actually considered re-enlisting, but I knew where I was going to go, and I knew I was going to be a part of the war efforts ongoing. That's why you're in the military. And I wanted to go back to college, so that's what I did. Well, I started out actually in '64 when I got out of college, I started out in law enforcement. And after seeing, learning about the world a little bit in the Army, I wasn't too sure I wanted to do that. And pretty soon I didn't do it. I was sociology major for a while. And I got frustrated when I realized that professionals in that field know an awful lot, but a lot of people in the public don't. And it's a real hindrance. And I liked history. It was answering a lot of questions that I liked, so I majored in history and I got the teaching credential. And my wife's dad was a teacher also. That got me more interested in it. He used to come home real happy every day and having a great time, you know, in work and out of work. And so I got interested in teaching. And I think if I had it to do over again, I would probably keep the teaching job and figure out a way to make it on it. If, you know, just live in a smaller house and do with a little less. And, that would be my choice if I had to do all over again. But I don't have any serious regrets. You know, life's been pretty good. If I didn't have this, I have a brain tumor. It isn't growing, but I have a brain tumor and it makes me have seizures and it makes me shake, and it's a real drag. But you know, we're all lucky though. We have modern medicine. 500 years ago, people didn't survive much of anything, and we live in a country where there is quite a bit of law and order compared to most of the world. So we have a lot of reason to be happy.
Hi, my name is Amber Adams.
Hi, my name is Celeste Gastineau.
Hi, I'm Greta Naiman.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Riley.
I'm Nathan Waldron.